prepares you for one of the roughest parts about being the youngest in your bloodline is that you don't know how to interface with children. When I started working at the pottery place, I had to like wing it of like how to speak with children in a way that was both professional and kind to them in a way they understood, but also like firm, but also loose, but also creative. And it's harrowing to admit that I based most of my interactions with children off of Free, the swimming anime, because one of them teaches children how to swim, and I just went with that. I hadn't even watched the show. I still haven't. I just saw clips online, and I went with that. That's a side note from this story. And with working at the pottery place during the summer, they had a summer camp, and I had no experience teaching children. Nevertheless, my boss went, KK, go teach the summer class, and I said, hey now, I don't have the paperwork for that. And she went, what are you talking about? This is a pottery place. Go teach it. And so wing it I did, and I taught children how to do various pottery techniques week after week, and eventually I got the gist of it, and I learned very quickly that as long as you're firm yet supportive towards children, they'll do whatever you ask creatively. You bend, they bend, the piece gets painted. The hardest part about being a teacher are the kids' parents. This one woman had signed her son up for a week-long pottery class, so just 5 days hanging out with a bunch of kids, learning how to paint pottery with different techniques. And I didn't sign her up for the class. She did that on her own volition and under no duress. But she still found the time on the first day to come to me and ask me what the point of the class was, if she could just buy the objects and paint them with her kid at any of the tables. I think a part of her was mad it wasn't exclusive, and a part of her was disillusioned, like she thought I was gonna go on some grand ceramic adventure. And I was like, oh no, ma'am, it's just like, we're teaching kids how to do pottery and different techniques, haha. But she kept hassling me on that first day and being like, well, what's the point? Can't I just be here? Can't I just teach this? And I said, well, the pottery place is still open for the public. If you want to be here, you can, but you can go. I don't know what she was fighting for, and to be perfectly clear, I don't think she knew either. But for those 5 days, she sat at a nearby table with her child in eyesight and just read like a Colleen Hoover book, occasionally giving me sharp glances, of which did not affect me because, to be honest, I don't know what they were for. Like, lady, I'd love to meet your expectations. When you figure them out, please let me know.